nothing determines the success of a military plan more than knowledge of the enemy's position, numbers, and movements. Commanders of today have many resources available to gather intelligence: helicopters, satellites, long-range radar, and so on. But the Civil War commander of the 19th century had none of this. During the Civil War, commanders desperately needed knowledge of what lay over the hill to gain an advantage over their foe, and they had various methods at their disposal. If you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more American Civil War content. Intelligence was gathered through a combination of cavalry scouts, staff aides, spies, enemy deserters. Even newspapers smuggled across the lines could provide valuable information. But scouts could be captured or killed, spies turned, or deserters deliberately provide false information. In 1861, however, a 29-year-old inventor named Thaddeus Lowe offered a new tool of warfare that allowed a commander to literally see over that hill: aerial observation by balloon. Prior to the Civil War, Thaddeus Lowe and his balloons were well known, and he had even planned a transatlantic flight aboard a 103-foot diameter balloon named City of New York. But when the war began, Lowe offered his services to President Lincoln and demonstrated his balloon's capabilities by telegraphing a message to the White House while tethered 500 feet above it. President Lincoln gave his blessing, and the U.S. Army authorized a unit of 7 balloons. In August of 1861, aeronaut John LaMountain filed the first official report from a balloon tethered 3,500 feet in the air near Fort Monroe, near present-day Hampton, Virginia. He telegraphed what he could see of Confederate troop movements and numbers to the commanders on the ground. The ability to peer tens of miles behind Confederate lines was a tremendous advantage to the Union Army. A commander could be alerted to enemy troop movements or warned of impending danger. On the Confederate side, the mere sight of a balloon would force the Confederates to take tortuous, roundabout routes to avoid detection, thereby delaying assaults that could have taken advantage of fleeting windows of opportunity. The Confederates did not overlook the value of aerial reconnaissance either. Always at a disadvantage in terms of material, the South was not able to use Lowe's method to generate hydrogen gas. So, according to legend, they turned to the ladies of Richmond. The ladies of the Confederate capital donated their silk dresses for a brilliantly colored patchwork Confederate balloon with the lifting gas provided by the Richmond Gas Works. Whether the story of the silk dresses is true or not, a rebel balloon was indeed tied to a small tug in the James River and operated during the 7 days battles from June 25 to July 1, 1862, and provided useful information for Richmond's defenders. Unfortunately for the rebels, the balloon's tug ran aground later in the year and the balloon was captured. Despite their obvious advantages, Lowe's balloons had serious technological limitations. First, the balloons required large, cumbersome gas generators that mixed sulfuric acid with iron filings to create hydrogen gas which filled the balloon's gas bags. This process was no real problem when the Army was stationary, but when the Army began to move, it took so many wagons and horses just to transport the hydrogen generators that the balloons themselves had to be left behind. Another limitation was that the aeronauts needed a field of view clear of forests, hills, and other obstructions to make accurate observations. For example, balloons were used during the Battle of Chancellorsville in May of 1863, but due to the density of the trees in the area, the Union aeronauts could only theorize on the numbers of rebel units moving through the forest by the size of the dust trails they raised. Like most technological advances, however, the balloons were expensive to maintain, and doubts about their usefulness grew. The Union Balloon Corps was shuffled from one military department to another, eventually being assigned to the Signal Corps, where they continued to operate until 1863, when, claiming insufficient resources to maintain them, they were ordered disbanded. The Civil War Balloon Corps was a pioneering effort in the use of aerial reconnaissance in warfare that reached a pinnacle during World War I, and Lowe's achievements paved the way for the development of modern air power and the creation of the United States Air Force. Although the Balloon Corps was short-lived, its legacy continues to inspire interest in the history of aviation and the role of balloons in military conflicts. Once again, if you'd enjoy learning more about our fascinating history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more American Civil War content.